Hey there, so this is Devlog 2 for Indie Hoverboard Racing. I haven't had too much time to work on the game this week, but I am trying to put out a new devlog every Friday. Um, I'm just putting together a pitch deck at the moment because I'm going to be at this event, Game Anglia Festival 2026, on 6th of February 2026 at the University of Suffolk. If you're going, please do give me a shout. I'd love to talk to you about this game and maybe some other projects I'm working on as well. It's always good to talk to people in the industry and just kind of catch up. So, in terms of what I have been working on this week, a few kind of gameplay type bits which I will cover, and I also increased the size of a couple of areas as well. So before the desert was just kind of this area, it's just a little bit small, and I just needed a bit more space for actually racing. So part of the issue with racing is you need to be able to race around things. So you need to have like a central column. So this is kind of perfect for it. Other things to add. So just a quick overview of what the game is, in case this is your first time seeing it. So essentially, this is Nocturnia, where a bunch of races happen. You get a shot into a portal into the sky so that you can visit all different types of places. In the story mode for the game, you essentially start off as someone who wants to join the Nocturnia races, and they get tricked by their friends into getting stranded on an off-world. And when they make their way back, they end up in this area, and then essentially you have to complete through the story mission, which I'm still kind of fleshing out at the moment. But essentially, it involves we've got shrines, we've got a frog type people who live in the area. You've got to do some stuff from them, and then they will let you out of the kingdom over this new bridge that we've got going on here. So I can see the style is kind of Japanesey, but it's not really. So, like in here, for instance, we have just kind of like some of the Japanese type vibes, like in here, but it's not. It's kind of off. Like they wouldn't use these greens; it would usually be red. We've already got a red area, hence why we're using it here. Again, we've got this with some Japanese writing. I might just change this from being explicitly Japanese, but it's a bit of a nod to it without kind of drawing too much onto it. One of the things that I'm working on at the moment is kind of like longer races. So at the moment, the races for the game have all been quite short, which is fine because essentially, so you've got a mound here, for instance, you do a race around the mound. But where you've got a longer map, you just have to block off way more areas, or make it so that you have a lot more kind of guidance. And that's fine, that's kind of built in to a degree, but I think it's going to have to be a case of building in checkpoints. I'm not a massive fan of checkpoints in racing games. I feel like they kind of just end up focusing way too much on time, which isn't what this game's about. Essentially, you can make up time if you collect the right items. So if you fall behind, for instance, a little bit like Mario Kart, you get given items that are going to help you increase your lead far more quickly and stuff like that. It's about the fun of the game. It's not necessarily about the time. But we do want to make sure that people aren't gaming the system too much, and they at least have to go to a certain place. So I'll probably put for a race around here, maybe a checkpoint here because you can't reach it from down the bottom. So essentially, you'll start at the other side of the map, have to come here, actually to collect something. So either that or you have kind of two finish lines. So first one's a checkpoint, whatever. Other things I've done, I've improved the race layout, which I'll kind of show in the actual gameplay, which I'm just gonna run through some gameplay afterwards. In fact, I'll do it in a second actually. So the races themselves, I've improved the UI so that it's a lot easier to see where you are in the race, and when you complete a lap or a checkpoint, you'll be able to see how far behind other competitors are. So I'll just jump in and do that now. We can talk about some other bits. So two other bits that I've been working on are essentially class them as kind of like custom hover. So let me just give you an idea. So once you complete a race, you can collect this flight extender. Now, what a flight extender means is, well, I'll show you again, just in case you haven't seen it at all. So usually, when you're when you're drifting, then you can get a bit of lift, and then you kind of come slowly back down. If you've got a flight extender on, however, you just get a lot more. You can go for a lot longer. See, you're pretty much horizontal. This is more designed for Nocturnia City, so when you're in the city itself, you can flow on top of buildings and that sort of stuff. Give you a quick example of what I mean. Cool. So say for instance you want to just kind of go in between E-type buildings, then it's much easier to do. Yeah, so essentially you've got different race items which are good for different areas. So the first race item increases the amount of momentum your board gets, so you can go much more quickly. So you can build up the speed much more quickly, so it's good, really good for shorter races. For the desert area, you have this jump mechanic, so you can jump over the dunes and stuff like that. Very wide open races, so it's kind of perfect for that one. And then for Nocturnia, it's going to be a lot more about so essentially grind rails and floating over the top of areas, so you can get from one place to another and stuff like that. So kind of tighter combat. Tighter travel. So yes, this particular one's going to be good. And again, I had this all built, but I hadn't included the turn mechanics in it. So essentially, you could pretty much just hover as far as you liked, but it wouldn't actually give you the ability to turn. I just kind of felt it was a little bit disjointed. So I'll just show you over here. So now we've got this whole new area around here. So it really opens it up quite a lot, and just feels like you're exploring a lot more space. So it still feels giant, it still definitely feels open, but it also feels like there's a lot more room for more interesting races to happen. Also move this statue up at the top, and we started talking. So I'm talking with 3D modeler about what we're going to do with that area over there. Some exciting stuff planned on that one as and when we get there. Fingers crossed. So yes, I'm just going to cover the races real quick. Show the new UI for that one, and then I will show some of the gameplay changes which we've implemented as well. Just going to get over this big desert. Oh, one big thing that I did, I forgot to mention, I spent ages coming up with a shader to try and do a sand waterfall up here. It took a lot longer than I expected, and actually, you can't, unless you get quite close, you can't really see the result all that well, to be honest. But if you are down here, you can see, I was just trying to add some movement to this waterfall. It's one of those things. I thought it'll be a quick 2-minute job, and ended up turning into not a quick 2-minute job. So it's fine. I made the shader now, so I can use it in a bunch of places. I've also got a bit more of a shader on the sky, and we started working on enemies as well. Kind of covered some of that last week. I built the targeting system, which I did a tutorial for, and made it so that you can have passive enemies that will only attack when you go and attack them as well. I did do a test with the water shader, so Unreal's water shader, as opposed to using just a water plane, and it was much more expensive. So I'm going to stick with a water plane for now, and if I can find a cheaper option, that'd be great. Main reason for doing or wanting a water solution, i.e. one that's like volumetric, is so that I can have holes in the map and do stuff like that. The reason I wanted to come up here was just to show this is another mechanic that I've added. So that's essentially so when you're on more level ground, if you go up, then it will tilt the board a little bit, but the camera will pretty much stay where it is. However, if you go up certain slopes, high slopes, you need to be able to change the camera so that it's facing up a little bit more, and that's changed the behavior of the board as well, so it just sticks. So I'm working on this for a little bit. Again, the main thing that I added this time was just so that you can still kind of get a bit of a feel for having some hover as well. So keeping it's kind of, at the moment it's a bit of a compromise between the two systems. So you have a lot more swing here usually, and you kind of still get some drag on the board, but yeah, words escape me, but yeah, that's been something that I've been working on anyway. So essentially you call it like forward momentum as opposed to more level momentum. Anyway, yeah, that's the main thing. So I'll just go and show you some of the frog one, and we can talk a little bit about gameplay. I only really had 2 days to do stuff this week, so I haven't been adding too much. Also did a run through the vertical slice, which would be the I did notice this a little bit dark, this shader here. Looks cool still, but yeah, I do need to calm that down a little bit. Frog guy's not here for some reason. Frog guy's a habit of going under the ground sometimes. Okay, we'll go to a different race so I can show you the UI. Yeah, I don't know why. Like, all the NPCs are the same for some reason. He likes just disappearing. Okay, I noticed this guy, he's from Paragon, he's just a placeholder at the moment. So yes, you can target NPCs from further away now as well. So when the race starts, hopefully you should see quite clearly where you are. So when you change place, you get a small animation that will show you that you've changed places in the race. Also made improved AI difficulty a little bit. There's still a bit of a ways to go. Also, I've improved the projectiles. So I bought a projectile pack, which is a really good pack actually. And if I get a chance to use a projectile in this particular race, then I'll show it to you. So that's one thing that I've noticed. So that was essentially an NPC using the time slowdown. So I'll just change the guided missile just a little bit. But if I get the actual missile, i.e. the forward shooting one, then you'll be able to see it's quite different. Okay, so this guy has managed to steamroll ahead. Yeah, so when it's an NPC using the time slowdown, it's not as obvious. You may notice as well an arrow above my head. If I get too far away from the raceway, it will point me back now. Which I think was definitely something that I'd got feedback from players. They would kind of just find themselves out in the hinterlands, wondering what was going on. Oh no, he's overtaking me. So yeah, I just need to make it a bit more obvious that it's an NPC who's used that, and then make sure that they don't, if they use it early in the race, they don't just steamroller. Okay, hopefully this will give me a chance to show the projectile and the updates on that one anyway. So, goes another way. Oh no, it's down this way. Ooh. Ooh. Catch these guys up. This race is probably one of the hardest at the moment, surprisingly. I'm not really sure exactly why. Added some cool effects so that you can see when an enemy gets hit. I didn't add the same effects for a player just because it might burn your retinas. There's a lot of emissive going on here. So here we kind of focus on shadows as well, which is why it looks slightly different. Final lap, you can see there we've got the split times when I went through. Aha! Finally got a projectile. So you can see just a bit bigger. Travels along the floor as well, follows the normal of the floor. Let's see if I find a AI now. Come on AI, where are you? Here it comes. Boom. So you can see a lot more clearly when you've actually hit an AI. Obviously you get the animation and stuff as well. Eek. Nice. Finish fast. So yeah, that's the jump booster anyway. Jump booster, so I can actually show you that. You may have seen it in one of the other videos, but just thought I'd show it to you anyway. So that's it along the ground, but you'll see when you come over the top of a dune, it can be really cool to basically do a jump over the top of a dune. So if you look on the left hand side, when it's ready, the icon shows up. So you just get kind of a bigger effect. It still takes a while to come down and land. So you can see that it's ready again. Boom. Which made it out the top of the post process. Need to increase the size of that one apparently. Okay. I think that's everything on this level. I've just set up a quick test level for grinding, because this is something that I've now added into the game. If I can find it, I think I put it in here. So this is kind of just a level that I've been working on today. Let's see, we've got some big slopes. We've got some enemies. This one my son was interested in because it's got spikes. He's obsessed with anything that's got spikes at the moment. And then, yes, I just spent a couple of hours basically just putting together a spline-based system. So all we've got is we've got this BP Spline Plus, which is a solution, and I've just added some grind logic to it. I created essentially an actor component that you can put on any actor, and then just run 3 events: getting on and then getting off. So getting onto the board, you just got to go near it, so passed into this collision, which is added procedurally onto the spline. And then if you press space while you are grinding, then you can jump off. So I'll show you what that looks like. First one I created was just completely bendy, just to basically test, okay, what happens if you put in big curves. Cool. So that was pretty much just to try and break it, see if we can push the reactions a little bit more. And then I created this one, which essentially just goes one way and then you can go another way. So you do a dot product if you want to get technical, which way you're coming from. You can actually join the spline at any point. I don't know, I can do a bit of a jump. Not really do it on this one, but yeah, you can join the spline from anywhere. It doesn't have to be the ends. I put a little bit of lag on the camera movement as well. Just tried to make it look nice. Might still be a tiny bit of debugging. I don't know if you can see there, but there is just like a flash where the camera just goes somewhere random. So you kind of just need to get to the bottom of that to find out what's going on. Otherwise, it looks pretty cool. Final thing that I did is, if you are going fast, got a big boss creature over there, by the way. That's going to be in the first dungeon. Oh no, don't know whether you know Ocarina of Time, but Queen Goma, first boss, it's going to be based on that. So, yep. So if you join it quite fast, then essentially it will enter it fast and then slow it down over time. And if you go slow and just join it, then it'll just kind of speed you up. If you press space, you can pretty much just jump off wherever you like. So obviously still need to just add a little bit of UI there. Was one thing I did. So when you do a trick, basically just some kind of indication that you've done a trick. It just says tricky at the moment. That's kind of cool. So we've got a few sparks. Obviously we've got an animation there as well. I'm meant to be holding on to the board, but not really. It's fine. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it so far. Again, I only really had 2 days to work on the game so far this week. I just kind of wanted to get some of the gameplay bits out the way and do some logic for what's going to happen in the actual game. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it, really. If you got any questions or anything, please let me know. If you got any questions or anything about the project, please just let me know. Otherwise, yeah, take it easy.